this is what could be the beginning of a lawsuit bonanza, because think of all the people that were forced to have a mandate, either take this or lose your job. This was going on mid-2021, 2022.
Yep.
I was one of those people, as was my wife. We both worked from home. I worked for Cumulus Broadcasting, the same company that Dan Bongino, our friend who has come on the podcast, was working for and spoke out against for these mandates that they instituted. Fortunately, I did not achieve the level that Dan Bongino had within the company, so he had more leverage to refuse a certain mandate. I did not, so I was forced to lose my job. 20 years in radio down the drain. Ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me because I ended up getting a job with Pat 2 months later and right back to work. Ended up working well for my wife. My wife worked for a company called Florida Medical Clinic. And they did not, Florida Cancer Specialists. And they did not actually have a physical location in the state of Florida. My wife never went into an office. Not one time. She worked for the company for 2 years prior to the pandemic. And prior to these mandates being instituted, always worked from home, never met a single one of her coworkers, and she was forced to either take the mandate or lose her job. She chose to quit.
Wow.
I wish she had not, because had she not, she could be like Tanja Benton. She's a 52-year-old woman who was awarded nearly $700,000 after being fired from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee in November of 2022 for refusing a mandate based on religious grounds. Benton claimed that she could not, in good conscience, take the mandate due to her religious opposition to abortion, stating all mandates are derived from aborted fetus cell lines. The jury found her refusal was based on sincerely held religious beliefs. She was awarded $177,000 in back pay, $10,000 in compensatory damages.
Compensatory. Good job.
Thanks. I still didn't get it right. And $500,000 in punitive damages. She had worked from home during the pandemic.
So by the way, Bob, that means she wasn't even going to be around anybody.
Like my wife.
But they're still like, you're shoving it in.
Yeah.
Like,
hear that, Caitlin? $700,000, but you quit to prove a point. Say, you know how many coach purses you could have had you not quit, Caitlin? $700,000.
So Rob, this girl, so Tanja was fired.
Tanja was fired.
So
from
if your wife was
Blue Shield of Tennessee because she did not take the mandate. She said that it would defile her body and it would anger and dishonor God. Wow. Good for her.
Yeah.
It's amazing, though, because I started looking up, and there's actually no stats regarding how many. They give you some numbers. In New York, 34,000 healthcare workers were fired or placed on leave because they did not comply with mandates. The military, which we've talked about, they're declining numbers, right? We've almost every other podcast we're talking about what's wrong with this country, and it's the decline in military and strong leadership in the military, including how weak our military has become because it has less recruits, less weapons,
transgender, the whole. They're letting people do surgery.
We used to be the scariest military in the world. You don't F with the United States because the United States can F back 10 times harder. Military. 3,400 service members were let go for refusing the vaccine, and the military, the Marine Corps, also lost 2,000 people. Those are the only numbers that I could find. Imagine every other business that forced their employees to comply with this mandate, and how many people actually quit or lost their jobs because of it. And now this woman's being awarded $700,000. So just imagine the floodgates this opens.
Yep. That makes Rob.
Cumulus. Listening?
Yeah.
You listening? Because I was a guy that lost my career of 20 years for not complying with that mandate.
Rob, they fired
I'll
you?
easily take $350 and we can just Rob, Vinny, you want to cut? I'll give you 10%.
Did they fire you?
Yeah.
Oh, Cha-ching. God. Rob, start the fight. So now, because I don't know about the law situation, but now, because Tennessee's, that's the first case that this has happened?
Yep. First case in the United States, which is very interesting considering all the other things that have come out. In fact, next week, Pat has an interview with two people who were injured by this mandate. And it's heartbreaking to hear one of the stories. she is the first person to sue one of the companies behind the mandate in the United States. So it's super interesting to hear her talk about it. Like, there's some really great interviews Pat has coming up, so I encourage you to watch it, the Kyle Warner and Brianne Dressen interview. But this is coming off the heels of that lawsuit being fired, which also being filed. This also comes after another different company in the United Kingdom is being sued for their mandates and not being as effective as they said they were.
Oh, weird.
So all of this, like these things that we've talked about, right? It seems very odd that all of these things are starting to come to fruition at once. Joe Biden has dementia. Then he gets on the debate stage, freezes in front of the entire world, and we go, see, we were right about that one.
Yeah.
We talked about these mandates in the past. All of a sudden, the tide seems to be turning on the mandates as well. Seems like a very interesting time for people who have been on the right side of things for the entire time, whether they were ostracized, criticized, fired, lost their jobs, to continue to stay the course and continue to speak that truth, because all of a sudden now the truth's being revealed and it looks like some of us are right about things more often times than we were wrong.
And you know that saying, and I'll come to you, Brandon, you know that saying that everybody always says, I hate to say, we told you so. Well, guess what? We told you so. I was screaming this from the beginning. That's why I left Los Angeles. It all felt like it was all a setup. From it coming, from the lab that it came from the Rush thing, and I get on Trump. I was not a big fan of freaking Warp Speed, to forcing it on people, to having talk shows doing dances and shit with needles, and then the pressure from the Cuomos and the government. I was watching this like, holy shit, is this a movie? Like, is this happening? And then now, and this is the only thing that bothers me, now we're at this point. Now this is one case, how many years later? Almost 4 years?
4. That you can't even look at how we still have to dance around talking about the actual mandate.
I was just going to say, we still can't say the word because we're going to get in trouble on this.
You'll get a warning without anybody even. There was one time that we posted something, and we posted it in advance. There was nothing in the description that could have warned anybody about what we were actually going to be talking about, other than a word in the title, and we got slapped with a label and a warning for misinformation.
Are you talking about last week?
Before the content had even been posted.
Are you talking about last week? This literally happened again last week. We had 2 videos removed off 2 of the channels, no warning, no anything.
Weird.
Because of this exact same
Because they're running that shit through AI, and they're
speaking.
trying to find out, like, hey, AI, tell us if they are even hinting at this shit.
Did you hear what he said? Say that again.
There's a public
Brandon.
official that was speaking in that video,
The
too.
Attorney General of Kansas, who filed a lawsuit against one of these companies for mandates, they flagged that and said it was disinformation. That's a government
From
official.
Attorney General?
The Attorney General of the state of Kansas.
Well, think of how many times we even mention a subject, and then down below the video, the little Wikipedia debunking claim pops
Fact
up.
checker
Our
box,
fact check from our YouTube overlords. Would you just mention any of our go-to theories here, the things we discuss?
Unbelievable.
Here's the
And we
thing,
always
though.
get
So
flagged.
it's never easy to be on the side of advocating for things that aren't advocated from the establishment. Like, look at Abraham Lincoln being anti-slavery. That wasn't an easy position for him to take. Or being who else am I thinking of? Winston Churchill during World War II. Like, everybody was against him at first when he wanted to resist Hitler. Everybody wanted to just concede and let Hitler take certain countries, but just never easy to be on the side that's against the establishment, but you end up being right in the long run. And then where my mind goes with this story is that today we saw that Moderna received a $176 million contract to do research on a new compound, like we're speaking of,
Compound,
for
I
the
love
bird flu.
Yeah, for bird flu. What
are they cooking up with that now?
Oh, I mean, and we're going to get to Australia. It's happening in Australia because chickens and egg farms, a bunch of them are closing down because, dude, they have to have another thing to come and scare the hell out of us. But anyway.